Finance Committee for meeting on Thursday, April 13, 2023. We're all present in the room.
I
Well,
don't
you
think
need
Zoom
to
is up
start
yet.
the-
We're in the practice session.
Oh,
Sorry, I didn't know I was doing that.
thank you, Dan.
Sorry, I made you.
Recording in progress.
All set.
All right, since we're all in the room and nobody's remote, we're just going to say this meeting is being recorded and we're going to get going.
Skip
This-
is here.
Skip is here in the,
In the
awesome,
parking lot.
awesome.
Yep.
So, we do not need to do roll call votes tonight, which is, Dave, I know that makes you happy after sitting through last night. So this is the second night of our public hearing on the warrant. I would entertain a motion to reopen the public hearing for
So
the
moved.
warrant.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, so we're gonna start with Article 35. Ms. Piccone? Thank you for, coming back tonight. Appreciate it.
Sorry about the computer problems last night. My internet has been spotty at best. I could hear you, but I got that you couldn't hear me, so no problem.
Nope, I appreciate you being here. So, Article 35 is looking to dissolve the existing Affordable Housing Trust and transferring all the funds to the Municipal Stabilization Funds. You want to walk us through your rationale for that?
Sure. The Affordable Housing Trust was founded in about 2011. I'm a little sketchy on some dates and numbers. I did file a public records request in like the middle of March. I've given an extension. I believe some of the information isn't available because it just simply doesn't exist. So I can't refer to some certain dates and things with any certainty. So because this is FinCom and I had prepared to do a little bit longer thing at the select board and then I have a presentation for town meeting, I'm just going to try to touch on some of the financial reasons why I'm here.
That's fine.
So the Affordable Housing Trust was formed around the same time as the CPC. When you go back through like ClearGov and look at what both boards have accomplished, the CPC has accomplished a lot in this town. I mean, you can go back and list dozens and probably 100 projects that have been funded, figured out, gone through the program, and gotten funding. As far as I know, the AHT has received some funding from the CPC and CPA funds. They've received money from developers in town that have either pulled out of deals. They received 25 Worcester Street via a citizen's petition in 2020, and yet haven't provided a unit of affordable housing in this town or helped anybody in Grafton, any Grafton residents, receive any affordability along with their housing. The main project that's on their docket right now is to give $1.9 million to GSX. On Tuesday night, the select board re-signed the PNS because the deal was starting to go south. They had to extend the PNS, and unfortunately GSX is the same company that just pulled out of and stopped Transit Village over on Pine Street, a rather large development that was really good for town, that is now dead stopped and has pushed us out of safe harbor as a town. The GSX deal really doesn't, I don't understand personally what the $1.9 million is buying us out of that deal. I do know that the percentage of affordable units is higher, but they're still all at an 80% AMI, which when the 2 bedrooms are at market value about $3,000, I mean, even 80% is just not really a great deal or quote unquote affordable. We have just a better idea to form a committee. Unfortunately, I wanted to bring it right along with this warrant article to start another warrant articles, to start a committee that we're tentatively calling the Residential Growth and Retention Committee. Unfortunately, there's a lot of detail in the programs that we want to provide and that we want to offer, and we do need input from a lot of other people to actually make those programs happen. But I do believe if we go into doing a program like that, it will really help people in Grafton, people that have adult children living in their homes that want to stay in Grafton and purchase a house. We could do a down payment program, a loan program that helps people that is forgiven over a course of time. We could help elderly stay in their homes by doing ADA forgivable loans to get their houses, kitchens, stair lifts, ramps, whatever needs to be done. And again, with the thought of retention. So you know, that's
That's
the
gonna be
program.
another article you're gonna be bringing
It is.
to
We are
future
going to
meeting.
bring that in the fall, but I think we kind of need to put together like a loose committee of talented people that can help figure out the terms. I mean, there's plenty of these programs throughout the state. Right now, only 100, approximately 100, I think it's 104 maybe, towns in Massachusetts have an affordable housing trust, and 200 don't. But those other 200 towns definitely have programs that can be funded by AHA funds and CPA funds that really do a lot of good at the community level. I mean, I was really upset the other night when Matt Often was referring to the project on Upton Street, and he said specifically that this building project has no benefit to the people of Grafton. And I don't see any benefit. It has maybe bringing people into Grafton, but you know, you're not bringing people in for the American dream to buy a house, gain all the equity we're gaining. I purchased a house here 15 years ago in a 40B neighborhood. It's not a 40B house, it was the original house. In that time frame, my house has gained almost $500,000 in equity. That's my equity. My neighbors next door to me bought their house for approximately $180,000, and they're locked in perpetuity. They cannot do any improvements on their home, because there's inspections that are supposed to happen, which don't happen in this town, but that's okay, they're supposed to. And they really don't gain equity at the speed that a normal homeowner in town does, and that's in perpetuity forever. So they are paying a lower price to live in that neighborhood, but a number of my 40B neighbors have moved out and moved on to houses and have already started gaining equity in the first year that they've owned their home, which I really think is more of the American dream. I know we have state requirements for safe harbor and affordable housing. I have a lot of faith in the select board to negotiate LIP deals and affordable deals, and possibly even work on passing a bylaw in town that future building has to have some sort of affordable component, so we're not constantly on the verge of being thrown out of safe harbor and having projects that we don't want, like my neighborhood, High Point Estates, pushed down our throats. That has been in the works, that project, for over 20 years. It was forced upon the town because of safe harbor, and it's still not closed out. And the developer left 2 out of 3 lots at the end were supposed to be affordable unit houses, and unfortunately the town let them go out of schedule. Not sure why or how. It's a lot for them to handle. No state supervision on that project. So those 2 affordable lots are never going to be built on. Not an affordable house anyway. Plus, unfortunately, that neighborhood, the building of that neighborhood has ruined my house and flooded my property to the point where I've been in a lawsuit for many years, which is why, unfortunately, we've had to learn what's going on in this town, in the planning board, the ZBA, the Affordable Housing Trust. We have a very broad picture of what's going on, and think that these programs that we want to bring would really be advantageous to the town. And to take that money back out of the Municipal Stabilization Fund, it is going to require a 2/3 vote by the town, which I believe the town will fully support those programs going forward.
I think the only issue with the article is the money that is put into the Affordable Housing Trust coming from the community preservation funds. I think those funds have to be either returned to the community preservation funds, or they have to stay as housing funds. I don't think they can go to the municipal stabilization fund, but I need a ruling from town council on that. That's just my understanding of the way the act works.
We are talking to DLS about that. That would be the hitch, is the CPA.
Right, I knew that.
So
We actually kept the wording of the article extremely simple. I did have something that was a little more wordy, but with legalese and the fact that there's a property that would need to transfer back to the town, as well as funds that came from different areas, and the municipal stabilization fund is just a general fund. I've been accused today of it being a slush fund that somehow we're creating. It is not a slush fund. I am not creating it. It is really a parking place, which I asked for, just a parking place for the money until we could move forward in the fall. One of the other things that prompted me, and then I'll be done, is the AHT approached the bylaw study committee, which is going through and changing bylaws in town, and they wish to be added to the charter so that they cannot be removed by a simple majority, that it would need to be removed by a 2/3 vote. So which is why I brought this article without the follow-up article that's going to come in the fall. And I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
I'm opening it up to any questions from members of the finance committee.
Sorry,
No,
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
So you mentioned.
Can I
that-
just, one quick, he's on the AHT? Is it appropriate for him to be asking me
He's a
questions
member,
on
he's a
this?
member, he's a member of the
committee.
finance committee, and he has every right to ask a question.
That's fine, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan.
Just ask.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you said we have some other article that you're going to bring in the fall. Who's the we?
Who's the we? Listen, I mean, I only had a minimum amount of citizens that I needed to sign the petition, because obviously it was made public with the addresses today so that they could be publicly scorned. And thankfully, the people that agreed to sign it with me are aware of that. I'm above public scorn. I'm not
Can I interrupt,
cancelable.
can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah.
It's a public document, and in the
It's
town that
fine, I
Hold on a
understand.
second, please. In the town that I work for, we actually print the names in the warrant who submits citizens petition. So I guarantee you, nobody was trying to publicly scorn anybody. I want to make that very clear.
Can I clarify? Because I think my question was misunderstood. Well, I'm not asking for like names so that people can be like dragged through the mud or something. I was asking if there's like some kind of group that that you've organized that has like that people might be interested in. It sounds like there's a group of people that you're referring to. So I was just kind of wondering if there's any kind of organization behind that.
Nope, this is we wanted to put this article up, and then we're gonna put together a group to find a committee. I mean, I personally don't even plan on being on the committee. I think we need talented people who have the knowledge to be on the committee to form these programs to offer to the town. This is just really because of the bylaw that you're proposing and the GSX money that I don't think the whole $1.9 million should go for such little return to the town. I was shocked the other night. I mean, I didn't see the benefit, but to have Matt say that there was no benefit was kind of shocking. So,
I don't think that's what he said.
I mean, I have a clip.
Well,
if
Matt,
you
I'm
want
going to ask you to stop using Matt's, unless Matt's here.
No, he's not here. I'm sorry.
I don't want to,
Mr. Yeah.
I don't want to refer to anybody that's not here to either
That's fine.
defend themselves or talk about what they're saying. So let's not talk about Mr. Often tonight.
No worries.
Is there any other questions, Dan?
No.
Okay, Greg? you-
I just want to clarify that the thing being brought forward by the Affordable Housing Trust to the Bylaw Committee is not a change in any way. That is the existing requirement.
So you said that the Affordable Housing Trust is currently on the charter?
No, the trust itself that is filed with the state of Massachusetts as a legal document requires a 2/3 majority to dissolve.
So the
Okay,
trust
that-
document itself, in which when the town adopted the trust.
Yes.
It requires a 2/3 vote of town meeting to dissolve the trust.
Yes, it was adopted September 10th, 2007, filed with the state the next day, and is available online.
And just to clarify another point, the bylaw committee cannot change the charter. We have two different committees that look at our laws. There's a bylaw committee that looks at all the bylaws.
Right.
And then there's a charter review committee that looks at the charter. I do not believe you're making any charter recommendations in what you're doing.
No, not at this point.
Right, this is nothing that the bylaw study committee has done. It was proposed by the AHC, that's all. And if they thought that they were already on the charter and required a 2/3 vote, then I'm not sure why they would have requested that change. That's all.
Go ahead,
A
Skip.
point here.
No,
There have been some changes put forth to the bylaw study committee to true up language.
I understand,
but
I've been
it-
watching.
Yeah, it's not anything to do with changing any of the requirements at all.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
All right, is there any other questions of members of the finance committee before I open it up to the public? Go ahead,
I
Victoria.
have one quick question. It kind of seems like this new committee that's being proposed has a very specific purpose for citizen retention, which I think is laudable, right? And
Growth and retention, but yes.
sure, the examples that you gave were primarily based on retention of current constituents, again, which I think is a very laudable thing to attempt to do. However, we're being presented with a very binary reality, which is one committee must be abolished in order for the next committee to come and maybe take over those funds or to be responsible for getting those funds. What is the basic principle for not being able to sort of coexist and to have both committees running in parallel?
Well, unfortunately, kind of like the RECC agreement where you can't work with certain people, unfortunately, I'm not sure that the two groups really work together. I mean, the Affordable Housing Trust doesn't really work with the Housing Authority or work with other organizations as well. They kind of just have their own mission.
Could you expand on that?
that they have their own mission. I mean, their mission is supposed to be to help people in Grafton with
Of course,
affordable
but,
housing.
but you're
Oh.
saying that they don't work with anyone
Oh, well,
else.
I really
they're
don't
siloed.
consider them an approachable group to come in with any outside ideas. I mean, one of their members,
I see.
you know, came up with a rent help program that he wanted to sell, and I don't know where that's gone. Unfortunately, I've heard it proposed a couple of times. Then I heard it proposed maybe at the CPC briefly, but unfortunately, it didn't come to reality. And I think we've waited on the AHT to actually do something in this town for quite a while. We're now out of safe harbor, which I would consider one of their, you know, goals to help us to stay in safe harbor. And I just think that we need a committee and a group to help get stuff done. Like, I believe if we get all the details worked out of this committee and the programs that the committee chooses to embrace to offer to the town of Grafton and the people moving into Grafton as well, that we can get those programs up off the ground almost immediately. So I just, the timing, I mean, they also said that GSX last night could take 2 years, it could take 3 years, it could take 5 years. Unfortunately, you know, a number of the programs that we have are now know that we're out of safe harbor, and they're moving to 40B projects, which aren't really as attractive to the town. And I think we can work to, the select board can do the LIP programs, do negotiations. I'm not sure what the Affordable Housing Trust is actually accomplishing.
Yeah, that's a fair concern. So what we are then looking at is a potential 6-month vacuum without any oversight into this particular part of the town's activity, because the goal would be to abolish the Affordable Housing Trust today, essentially, and then hopefully reconvene in the fall meeting to create a new committee that as of yet does not have a charter or definition. And I would argue those things at best should happen simultaneously, not with that kind of 6-month period. So is there a
Oh,
recommendation?
no, I mean, we can, I will bring this back in the fall along with the other article if it does not go through. This is a little preemptive, but the GSX money concerns me. Unfortunately, GSX has let the town down on Transit Village. I would echo one of the select board's concerns that they're just going to get the money and get the permits and either sell out or disappear like they did on their other project. So, I mean, a vacuum, 200 other towns don't have an affordable housing trust at all and just do other outside programs to help people. So I don't think, I do believe parking the money is parking the money, but I'm not sure GSX or Upton Street is going anywhere for that money to actually go anywhere yet either. So, you know, I might be a little ahead of myself, but we brought it. And
Thank you.
the citizens can vote on it. Thank
Yeah,
you so
of course.
much.
No, I appreciate it.
Any other questions from members of the Finance Committee? All right, this is a public hearing. Any members from the public like to address this subject? All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate being
you.
here.
Have a good night.
You too. Next article are the planning board articles. Who's here for the planning board? Hi.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate your time. My name is Fiona Coughlin. I'm the new town planner.
Welcome.
I've met some folks, not everyone. So lovely to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. So we're going to start with Article 25.
Sure. Yep.
If you want to walk us through that.
Yeah, so that one is a relatively easy lift. It's pertaining to section 3.3.3 of the bylaw. Essentially, this came about from discussion that I had with the building commissioner and zoning enforcement officer. It's essentially modifying the language to just be more clear, adding some text here to say, serving individual structures shall be, where 2 or more principal structures are erected on the same lot, adequacy of access to utility service and drainage serving each individual structure shall be functionally equivalent to that required for structures on separate lots as stated in the planning board adopted subdivision regs. The minimum lot area with frontage shall be the sum of the requirements for each individual structure, and the minimum distance between the structures shall be the height of the higher building. So I think it was just really adding some clarifying language so a reader can understand that we're talking about the individual structures.
So it's a
as
clarification.
opposed- Yeah, it's really more.
Avoid confusion for people that come before the planning board.
Right. Yep.
And keep the planning board from getting confused. Just kidding. I'm just looking at Dave as I say that. Any questions on Article 25. Members of the Finance Committee? Any members of the public wish to discuss? Okay. We will go on now. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Article 26.
Yes, so this is also a really minor one, something that I caught. It's just a numerical numbering error for the section 12.6.2. The graph should be labeled 12.6.3.
Oh,
That one is,
so it's a typo.
yeah, pretty much. So that's an
It's a
easy one.
2/3 typo, because any questions? That seems pretty big. Go ahead.
So, oh, this is a change in the bylaw, never mind. I was thinking about, we already authorized the town clerk to make typographical changes or clerical changes in the charter.
Yeah, but I don't know, if in this bylaw, I think we have to go through this.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, I get you.
That was our thought as well.
Yeah,
This is the safest route to change.
That way, there's no question. If it gets a 2/3 vote at town meeting and the AG
Yeah.
says yay, it's
Yep.
yay.
yeah.
It seemed like a pretty light lift for the article.
Yep. Article 27, you're on a roll.
Yeah.
Keep going.
This one is a little bit more complex, but not too much. So we modified section 4.2.1 of the bylaw to add a sentence at the end that the Grafton Common Historic District will be exempt from parking requirements set forth under 4.2.2, the off-street parking schedule, just due to the current configuration of the common. I know that this had come before town meeting last time, I believe, and was denied due to just a lack of clarity. So I did touch base with a variety of parties, the zoning enforcement officer, Mr. McCusker of the ZBA, who had originally called into question the language the first time, and arrived at this language just as the kind of final proposal. So just basically kind of bringing back what was denied the first time to make it more clear and straightforward for the reader.
Okay. And we put all the requirements back in the bylaw, in the warrant article, how come?
Because that's what.
Oh, I should be, why am I asking you? I should be asking
I don't
you.
know.
Why are we putting all this back in? Because people are gonna wanna know, are we changing the parking requirements? So what was the rationale for putting the schedule in the warrant again?
Oh, yeah, sorry, and also there will be some modifications to the schedule as well, so,
That's
sorry.
why it's there, Evan.
Yeah, so we're modifying the 4.2.2 to include the updated parking requirements for the village mixed use
Okay.
district. So we're taking it from the prior section that it was in under section 5 and moving it here for clarity. We're increasing the parking spaces required for studio and 1 bedrooms to 1.25, 2 bedrooms is 2.25, and 3 plus bedrooms is 2.25 to align with our multifamily requirements. And also on a couple of other minor modifications to this table. We modified transportation and utility use to redact industrial from that, and create a separate line item with industrial uses. Yep, the transportation utility uses the parking will be updated to 1 space every 750 square feet. Utility uses will be 1 space for every 750 square feet of gross floor area. And we also created a separate line item for warehouse uses, which is identical to industrial 1.
Which makes sense to
Yep.
keep them similar.
Right.
Okay, I was confused, so thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, sorry
No,
about
that's
that.
okay, don't be sorry. Any other questions on this article? Go ahead, Skip.
So just in the presentation of the articles, something that has helped in the past perhaps is some kind of font for the new language and X out for whatever you're removing.
Usually they bold
You know,
the
so,
new language.
yeah, just so that it's easier, you know,
So people will know exactly
yeah,
what
Yes.
it's
yeah,
changing.
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
we're getting rid of this and we're adding that.
So like embolden the industrial use, transportation use, and warehouse use, because that's new.
Right.
Yeah,
That's something we can do, right?
just-
Maybe put an asterisk that it was taken from somewhere else.
Okay.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
a
if
pain in
it
the
was
neck.
moved or something like that, you know, it just,
Yeah.
for people sitting there looking at this big, we said you put stuff in, but I don't know which in the schedule is new, which if it's old.
Sometimes what they do is, when they write the article, they'll say to remove section 4.2.2 in its entirety and replace it with a
Okay.
brand new section 4.2.2. It's just a little easier language to understand. I think I understand
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying, Skip.
So, Fiona, we'll help you
Okay.
navigate the highlighting of the section.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, and I have the draft document, so we can use too, so, okay.
That's good. That's
Great.
excellent. Good suggestion, Skip.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions on Article 27? Any questions from the public? All right, Fiona, you're continuing to be on a roll, so let's move on to Article 28.
Okay, sure. So, this section, 12.7.6, there was some changes, but really it's related, strongly to the article that we just discussed. 12.7.4, the text will be redacted and a sentence will be included to say, please see section 4.2.5.3 for shared parking requirements for village mixed use. It's in two different places, and just from talking to other staff, and we thought that it would make more sense again for the reader to just refer them all to one section. And as well as that change in 12.7.4, we did modify the language in section 12.7.6, the off-street parking schedule, to state please see section 4.2.2, the table with the parking requirements.
You just did in the previous article.
Yep.
Okay.
In the village mixed use, parking for new construction shall provide an adequate number of spaces to satisfy conformance with 4.2.2, or may apply for a special permit from the special permit granting authority, in this case the planning board, for an exemption provided there is adequate off-street parking that is identified on the provided plans.
That makes sense. Any questions on Article 28? All right, any questions from the public? All right. And last but not least,
Yes.
Article 29.
Yes. So Article 29, we received a email submission on February 1st regarding the submission of a citizen's petition to modify the use table in Appendix A, Section 3.2.3.1, to to add an accessory use that would state seasonal outdoor eating and drinking establishments, including banquet facilities, alcohol sales, and live entertainment, limited to 70 decibels at the property line for agricultural/farm principal uses for properties over 5 acres. And they wanted to allow this, have a by right in an agricultural zone, the Holden Farms property, and change their zoning from their residential zone status to agricultural. For a variety of reasons, particularly legal reasons, we worked with the owners of Holden Farm to modify this, and through a series of meetings with the planning board. We also touched base with town council numerous times about how we could work together to sponsor the article, to allow, make sure that we help, can support this use, this accessory use for them in the correct manner. So what we landed on was that we would have an accessory use, which would be, and I'm sorry, this is long-winded, so
No, keep
bear
going.
with me. Seasonal outdoor eating and drinking establishments, including banquet facilities, alcohol sales, and live entertainment that relate to operations of the principal agricultural use in an amount of no more than 10% of the total agricultural acreage, limited to no more than 10 decibels above ambient noise levels at the property line for agricultural/farm principal uses for properties over 20 acres. And this would be a special permit site plan review in every zone. And also with the addition, the modification of the use table, we would add a section 5.12, which would outline the requirements for this accessory use, as well as specific standards and review practices. And then we would also modify the special permit review criteria to add K, which would state it's an additional review criteria for the board, which would state uses and their accessory uses will not have detrimental effects which outweigh their benefits to the neighborhood, town, or zoning district in which it is located. There was a lot of back and forth about this particular citizen's petition, particularly concerns from abutters, and we arrived at this language very intentionally to make sure that we are protecting the rights of those who are bringing the citizen petition forward, but also neighbors in terms of noise. Agricultural uses have certain protections, so we really were careful to arrive at this finalized language.
One thing you said at the beginning is that you were going to rezone the Holden Farm, but that's not in this article.
Not in this no. This, the planning board sponsored article does not include that rezoning. No,
Okay.
it'll be a special permit.
Yes.
But all the requirements are the same.
The original request of the planning board from the landowner
Yep.
was included changing in zoning. Yeah.
Right. Which,
Planning board, and I'm just speaking in generalities, planning board didn't like that approach, and then adopted this approach as a middle ground to be able to.
So instead of having a citizen's petition, the planning board took the initiative to submit this, getting input from the abutters and the owners of the property.
Yes.
correct.
And has the planning board held its public hearing on these articles?
It's on the 24th.
It's on the 24th, okay. All right. That was a very complicated thing, and you explained it really well, so thank you. I actually understood what you were saying, which is shocking, because I have no idea what zoning means. Go ahead.
It just, so when you were originally speaking, I think that you said 70 decibels, but here it says 10. Did you mean that the original discussion was it not be more than 70 decibels?
Yeah.
And here you're just saying 10 above ambient.
They had originally proposed limited to 70 decibels at the property line, but per state regs, which we aligned our language with to say, 10 decibels at the property line.
Yeah.
And
But it increases
that's-
10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over
Yeah.
ambient. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. So you gotta take a baseline when there's no noise, come back and take another reading.
So who's gonna be out there doing the readings?
I actually bought a sound meter.
You did?
Yeah. If you ever wanna borrow it,
So when they say,
I may take you up on that.
it's pretty
Do
right.
are the abutters okay with, you have discussed it with them and they're okay with this language?
Yes, and we've had
I know that there've been a lot of back and forth between
There has.
the parties.
right. Yeah, no, we have been continuing to keep conversations ongoing with the abutters and be cognizant of their concerns. And they have been attending all of our planning board meetings. So, and
And they seem, okay,
yeah,
they're okay, okay.
As far as you can tell.
yes.
Well, they're gonna find out on the
find out.
24th and the 8th.
I've been in Fiona's position. Are they okay with it? Sure. And then you have, you don't know how people.
Yeah, you don't know how they're gonna react. But what I like is the fact that you sat down with the abutters, the landowners, and you tried to come up with a compromise, so that's.
Right. Yeah. It was a three meetings and then continuing discussions as well. So
So this is how you were introduced to the town of Grafton?
yeah, it was very exciting.
And you stayed?
yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I didn't
Here
even
to
tell her
stay.
about it. I've got this meeting with the farm. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me know how it goes.
Good luck.
Good luck. See ya.
so I did.
Go ahead.
Want to get to this thing? 10 decibels isn't very loud. So
At the property
At the
line.
property.
at the
line,
property line.
So if you have a
said
20
when there's
acre-
no noise.
No.
So did ambient?
No, so ambient
get
is, ambient is,
when the farm's in operation.
it could be.
Yeah.
Right, so you go out and what the best practice is you go out to the property line, you do it multiple times of the day, multiple days of the week, and you come up with your ambient bottom line, your baseline decibel reading.
Okay.
Then you come back when the noise is in effect and you say, and actually, I'll tell you, 10 decibels at the property line is pretty loud.
10
And if
decibels
you-
is doubling
we-
the like how you perceive
Right,
it, right?
because decibels is not linear. Right, so it's not 10 decibels is twice as loud as right. So and I'm not sound engineer. I was gonna start going down the road else, and I was like, oh wait, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
So
There's a chart in my head that has a space shuttle on it, something else.
I think to make it simple, it's a 10 decibel increase above
Right.
ambient, which means if ambient is
Loud.
30 decibels, this would be 40
Yeah.
decibels. But that means that 40 decibels, it sounds twice as loud as 30 decibels. That's what the nonlinear
Yes,
thing means.
right.
So whatever the baseline is, 10 decibels above that will
It's
sound
twice
twice
as
as loud.
So every 10 decibels is twice as loud again
Yes.
Yeah.
as the last read?
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Thank you, Professor Kusher.
Appreciate it.
Did you see that same chart with the space shuttle?
Yeah,
That's on his laptop
There you
right now.
We actually we did this last year when we were getting sound complaints. So we did our baseline readings and then came back at different times.
And what was when you did all that?
They were always below the 10.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's good. So that's a good level. But it's a
Unless
20
10
acre
is
site.
really loud.
Right.
Yeah, but if-
so
It's 10.
so it's distance affects it. You know, temperature, humidity.
Foliage.
Yeah, foliage.
But she said this is, but you said, Fiona, you said this is based on state regs, state law?
That's DEP's regulation.
DEP's regs? Okay, good, so we're consistent with the state.
Yeah.
So it's the state's fault that it's so loud.
I'm sure that'll.
That was that was a very interesting scientific discussion, thank you. And this finance committee handles all issues.
Yeah.
I'll
It was a learning curve for me too. It was very interesting. So
Are there any other questions for Fiona on any of these articles? Any questions from the public? Go ahead, who wants to go first? We'll go with Bruce first.
first because I gotta go to my meeting.
Yep, go ahead, Bruce. If you come up to the microphone.
are you going or do you have a question?
I just got a question.
Oh, okay. Here.
Where would you like me?
Right there is fine. No, right where you're standing.
Right here?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I guess we're
This
just.
is very intimidating.
Wait till Bob
I have no idea.
Eyes. All eyes.
Oh my.
Like the guy from Talladega Nights, I have no idea what to do. I was just wondering, small farms, boutique farms that are 5 acres plus that would benefit from this, if this is all being governed by a special permit process, why wasn't it considered for farms that are below 20 acres?
We were trying to be cognizant of setting a precedent for, small farms that would be, opening the floodgates essentially to having a variety of smaller farms having, banquets, at least with the Holden Farms property, it's sufficient enough size wise where they can support these accessory uses tied to their principal use and be able to, operate in unison with the neighborhood.
Okay. So the reason why I bring it up, and of course I'll go to the public hearing for the planning board as well, is just the boutique style farms of 5 acres plus have a lot of latitude to do stuff on their properties that would benefit that particular farm. So for example, if I were to grow 3.5 acres of hops or put 5 acres of vineyard on my northern slope, I could, would love to be able to have wine tasting or a food truck or something like that, as opposed to having to have a much larger acreage farm. There's not very many farms in town that actually do farming in town that are 20 acres plus. And I understand the rationale for this, but I just want to say it here because I think there's some inclination on town meeting floor to make some amendments to this particular article. So through the public hearing process, which doesn't usually get that type of, pre-warning, I think that's something that should be looked at and considered. Because there's a lot of people in that 5 to 20 acre area that are going to miss out on some sizable economic opportunities for their parcels. And as opposed to relinquishing those parcels to other types of development, it would be nice for them to have a fallback. Even if it was somebody who was going to raise 20 goats and wanted milk with cheese or something.
So when does the warrant get, posted?
Next Friday,
Which is what date?
21st.
Okay, so it would have to be, if the planning board decides to amend, it would have to be an amendment on the floor, town meeting, they can't change the articles post. Plus,
guess
you
it's-
advertise it anyways, a public hearing
Yeah.
with this article, never mind.
I mean,
I think the only thing that they're gonna miss out on in the 5 to 20 range is gonna be the banquet type use, the weddings, that type of
well,
idea.
small scale stuff. I mean, if you have 25 people up for a tasting or 25 people up to do anything.
Yeah, but you can
and
do
have
that
some
now.
food trucks,
So under 19F,
puts it all in one nice little basket.
yeah, but so the state says we can't touch it. So under 19F, farmer winery, farmer brewery, farmer distillery, anything over 5 acres, they can have tastings, they can have a tasting room, they can have public bathrooms, it's a whole thing.
But if I operated a CSA, just vegetables and produce of things of that nature, and I wanted to have some type of celebration for the 40 people that are contributing to
Gotcha.
the CSA.
Yep, no, I
And
got
I
you.
wanted 3 food trucks up there.
You couldn't do it under this.
I can't do it under this, and I don't think I can do it under our normal bylaws either. But in this particular scenario, if I could do it
Mm-hmm.
and didn't have 20 acres, I could come apply for my special permit, and then have a seasonal license to do it.
Gotcha.
Because that's all gonna be displayed in the special permit process. And all my neighbors get the opportunity to come and weigh in on it, because they'll all be notified of others.
Right, fair point.
And I don't care if it happens now, or if it happens in the fall. I mean, I'll acquiesce to what the planning board wants to do, as long as there's an appetite to bring it back and reform it a little bit. But there's a lot of people in that bracket. There's 2 people on my road that are in that bracket. Anyways, I gotta go to the trust meeting.
Thank you, Bruce.
Dan, I need to steal you,
Alright,
because I need you for a quorum.
alright, then,
Okay.
Dave,
Yes, so,
Did you have to?
Mark, this person here to my right.
Oh, sorry.
Had a
Did you
question?
have to?
well, he raised his hand, it is a
Oh,
public hearing.
okay.
He's gonna be brief like he was last night.
yeah, I will be fairly brief. On the topic that Bruce just discussed, we did have some discussion on that when the planning board was preparing this warrant article. And we intend to, obviously, we are going to have a public hearing before the planning board on this. And during that discussion, the thresholds here will come up.
Okay.
I'm quite sure. And I cannot speak for the planning board, but my sense is that the board was not married specifically to the 20-acre number. That the board is likely to have some flexibility in what they would be comfortable with in this bylaw. So I suspect, again, I can't speak for the board, but I suspect the board would be amenable to on town meeting floor having the threshold here amended.
Okay, appreciate that.
So that's just to say we're not committed firmly to that number, but we had to have a number to submit on the warrant. The other point I wanted to make was just going back to the question of why the rezoning that was initially proposed was not here, is because it wasn't necessary.
Because you're making all the districts the same.
Right. Because this is defined as an accessory to an agricultural operation. And agricultural operations, by definition from the state, are allowable anywhere on 5 acres or more. So they're rezoning this, the Holden farmland or any other farmland, rezoning to accommodate this simply was not necessary. And it's one less thing to raise questions on town meeting floor.
Makes sense.
Appreciate that, Dave. Thank you.
Any other questions about it, I maybe can answer.
Okay. I appreciate that. Fiona, thank you so much for being here tonight. Appreciate your time.
Great, thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Community Preservation Committee.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Bye, Fiona.
Is there another chair you guys want to pull up? All right.
She's not coming back?
I think she's going upstairs to the other meeting.
She's really sharp, Mark. When I sat down and met with
Fiona,
her.
very sharp.
She was very
Excellent
sharp.
presentation tonight. Excellent
She's really
presentation.
good.
Gentlemen, how are we tonight?
Great, how are you?
Oh, living the dream, living the dream. So we're gonna just go through the articles in order. The first one is Article 1, which is in the consent agenda for the, $77,000 to the Affordable Housing Trust. I take it that's just the bucket transfer?
Yeah, that's an annual thing we do. We move the funds right over to them so that they'll have them available to use for a project that comes along.
Excellent. Any questions on Article 1? Seems pretty straightforward. Any questions from the public? All right. Jumping ahead to Article 20, which is, the annual appropriation into the various buckets. Do we know what the number is for FY '23?
Yes, so we've been told by the coalition that state.
So this should say from FY '23 estimated revenues. I get you. I'm sorry. I misread that. Go ahead. Sorry.
So the returns from people applying for that's licensing fees, right? What is the permitting fees? It's the permit fees.
When you sell the house.
Yeah. So there's a permit fee at the state level that goes into our coffers, and those are down substantially.
Really? They were up for a while when everybody was refinancing, and now they're down.
And now they're down. So because of that, their recommendation was to be very conservative with our numbers. So that's why we are predicting less, and it's 73,700. So it's not dramatically less from.
It was 77 in the other one, right? So $4,000.
Right. So it's 4,000, but it is a more conservative figure.
Okay, that's pretty standard. That's the annual article. Did you have?
So that was Article 20?
Yes.
And are these numbers here going to be filled in, the reserves?
Yeah, that's what you
Yeah.
just said. 70,000
Okay.
or 74,000. whatever.
70.
Okay, so that's, each of those is 70?
73,700.
It has to be the same in each bucket.
Okay.
What's the
10%.
unallocated
It's
reserve
10%.
going to be?
Say it again. I'm
How
sorry.
much is going to be in the unallocated reserve, the budgeted reserve? So it's going to be 73 in the historic, 73 in the affordable housing, 73 in the open space. What does that leave in the unallocated?
Let me just see. Unallocated, undesignated, we're at 358, 884.
So that one may be 358, 884. And then the other ones would be the 73 number.
Okay.
Excellent. Any questions on that? All right. Moving ahead to Article 21, which is $62,500 for your principal payment on the Pell Farm property. This is an annual article to pay your debt service.
Correct.
Any questions on that? All right. Moving ahead to Article number 22. I take it this is another bond payment
Yeah, it's the one.
for the historic, for the townhouse, $72,100, and it's the 9th of 20 payments. Any questions on that?
So just a general question, would it make sense to have those three articles, since they're essentially fixed and they're things that we have to do anyway, to be part of the second consent agenda?
I'm not sure why that we've never done it as part of the consent agenda. It may be the timing of it.
We generally just shied away from anything that has money attached to it and might generate conversation. That said, I mean, they are pretty low.
You have no choice but to pay those debt payments.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
I-
payment,
I know.
21 and 22 are payment of bills.
Don't forget, we're only 2 years into the consent
That's
agenda
true.
here, and we didn't want people to.
You're gonna
you know,
slide into it
read-
easy.
Right, we're sliding things in under the radar or whatever.
I just like to keep everything simple right now.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's the way we've
Sue's
been doing
retired.
it all along.
Sue's retired. Sue doesn't want to go out with controversy.
Don't rock the boat.
All right, that's easy. 220, Article 23 is 200 did you have any other
No,
questions?
that's pretty much,
Okay,
just curious about if there was any thought about it and if it would make sense to
maybe
do,
next
maybe
year,
in the future.
maybe next
yeah.
year there will be.
But I'm off.
Evans, look at Evan, he's thinking about it, he's gonna
I've
consider it.
already decided. We're going for it next spring. The FinCom has spoken.
Okay,
Article 23, 227,692 for the, Oak Groves Park Inclusive Playground. You wanna walk us through that?
You wanna take that, John?
I see Jen's here.
But it's, what we're trying to do is, since the super park didn't pass.
Yep.
All the other parks are being made accessible, and there was damage at this park. They have some, insurance proceeds, but also she's wanting to improve, some of the equipment's outdated, so upgrade the equipment, and then also improve the handicap accessibility. So I don't know, Jen, if you wanna,
There's also capital stabilization funds in that as well.
She's on Zoom, I don't know.
Jen, can you hear us?
I can.
Hi. Welcome,
Hello.
thank you for being here tonight.
Sure.
You wanna, walk us through anything you wanna add to the explanation?
Yeah, I mean, just to relate with John, I mean, the current playground is in need of replacement for the age 2 to 5 structure. It was damaged last spring. And the other main structure for ages 5 to 12 is at the end of its useful life. So we just looked at this opportunity. It's, to improve, expand and upgrade all at the same time, reducing costs and closure time. It's the largest and most central playground in town. And we do meet a lot of needs there, including what CPC is looking for with their general criteria and their plan goals, along with the open space and recreation plan goals of both Grafton and the state, and ADA transition plan objectives. It's going to have equipment for ages 6 months to 12 years. It's going to be, like John said, accessible with inclusive components. There's going to be poured in place rubber surfacing, multiple standalone pieces, seating, a shade structure. And so the total project is a little under 400,000, but we are bringing 170,000 to the table between capital budget money, the insurance payout, and in-kind work by DPW, which is almost 43% of the total cost. And so we are asking for that 227,691.
Makes nice partnership of town funds to get it done.
and that's
Yeah.
what we like.
Yeah.
They're not coming in saying, okay,
All
we're
you.
gonna give 5,000 and you're gonna give 500,000. So she's gone to a lot of different.
She's done a good job.
sources, And that's what makes CPC work.
Yep.
Is when it's spread out and you can get as much, support from as many different places as you can.
That's a great plan.
It
Very well
dovetails
done.
nicely too with the accessibility that we brought down to the common, having this there, which is in walking distance to it, and the accessibility commission is on, I think commission or committee, I'm not sure. Their name has changed a couple of times. But, they're on board with this too.
What a good project.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions on this? Congratulations, Jen. That's a nice job, and The CPC.
Thank you. I just added, we are doing a community outreach meeting as well on the 26th at 7 o'clock via Zoom. So if anyone had questions and wants to get more details about, the specifics or anything, they can go to graftonrec.com, or the specific project page is tinyurl.com/Norcross Park Playground.
Excellent. And what's the date of that again?
The Wednesday, April 26th, 7 o'clock.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight, Jen. Appreciate it.
Sure.
And then the final, any other questions on that? All right. And then the final article is Article 24, which is 10,000 to establish a rental assistance program for the Housing Authority.
This is something that Jim Gallagher had worked hard on. He was representative on CPC from the
Housing Authority.
Yep. And so he kept, because of the way the trust and the authority are two very separate beings and different animals and very siloed, that this was a way that he could actually utilize his position on CPC to help the people at the Housing Authority. And this is to help if people are, they said that there are people that have a long waiting list, and so by the time they get on there, they don't have the money to pay the first month's rent, or that they have financial difficulties early on. So this is to help them get over the hump. And
it's not a loan program, it's a grant program?
No, this is to give them money, and
okay.
This is like we did before, when we had rental assistance during COVID, that we're gonna set up this fund. I think the fund, we've decided it would stay with CPC, that the Housing Authority will then bill us. Basically, the executive director meets with and decides who needs this money. So it's a total, privacy is totally protected. We don't know who it is. We don't know who's getting
It's just
the
a
money.
bill of saying, I need
Right.
$2,000.
It's like that we've
or whatever.
advanced X dollars, and this is, we don't know if they're gonna need $10,000 again in 6 months. We don't know if they're gonna need it at all. They don't know.
Yeah.
This is just something we're gonna see. So if they need,
So this could grow to a bigger program
This
based
could-
on,
right, this could be more money in the future, but this is the first step to see
Nice.
what happens.
Yeah,
It's
I
a good
like this.
program.
It's a nice pilot program. I'm anxious to see how it works out and how everything is handled financially with all of you, with the director, so.
Yeah, it'll work really no different than any other project. So, they'll have some need for it. They'll provide an invoice, we'll approve it, and they'll get paid.
excellent.
I think this is a phenomenal initiative. I just, this makes my heart very happy. What's the plan to socialize this so that residents understand that this is an option for them, so that we make sure people are taking advantage of this?
I think
this great initiative?
that was one of the questions that we had, is this only gonna be available to Grafton residents? And legally, it's real hard to make that the case.
Sure.
But in practice, most of the people that end up being able to be residents at the Housing Authority, they are from Grafton. And that, because it's a long process, you don't say, okay, I think I'm gonna move there, I'm retiring, I'm older, I'm gonna move there. You're in the line for 2 or 3 years. And so I think the director has a pretty good pulse of who needs money, who's gonna, are those people are telling her, I think I'm gonna have financial problems because I have medical bills, I have these other bills. So this way, they're not gonna lose their housing because of all those other bills. Right. And they lose their job. If they lose their job, their rent is 0. So this way, they get to stay, and we're helping them not lose their housing.
That's
Then they can worry about the other stuff. Other groups can help them with that. At least we can keep that roof over their head.
Yeah, fantastic.
Jack, do you want to add anything?
I'm actually the chairman of the Housing Authority, so I just wanted to speak to that. Everyone will be getting a notice that this is now available. We do public notices with all of our major things, our annual plans. We're doing a pet clinic soon, so we give them all notices for stuff like that. But I also just wanted to emphasize, as of right now, we just had our meeting this week, and we have more emergency people on the waiting list than ever before. People that, it's not like they're getting on because, like you said, in the future they think this is going to be a good option. It's because they need housing now. So you can imagine if you're spending 2-3 years emptying every penny you have to try and keep a roof over your head, and you finally get this opportunity to have your rent be based on your income, and you can't make the first month's rent. What are you going to tell these people?
Yep.
How else are they going to survive?
No, this is a terrific program. I agree with you 100%, Victoria. It's a great program.
Yeah, I don't
Thank you to the Housing Authority bringing it forward.
It's all
And the
thanks-
CPC for
thanks to
supporting
Jim.
it.
Well,
This is an idea.
the Jim Gallagher
Yeah,
We wanna make
understood.
sure
Yeah.
Understood.
he is, remembered with this.
I'm
Absolutely.
a little,
This is his baby.
I guess I just don't really understand. So it's only $10,000. Like, how is that?
That's just the amount that you guys
That
decide,
was the
cause
amount
we
we
don't
asked for.
know.
Because
Okay.
we don't know. So the average, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's 30% of a person's income. So if people are making, most of these people aren't getting a large pension, so Social Security plus something, 30% of that, a couple $100 maybe. So we don't know how much we're going to take. We don't know how often we're going to use it. We have no sort of research for this.
Okay.
And we don't have any sort of similar numbers we can look at because our numbers are so unique. So we knew that we would have a good relationship, so we just threw out a number. So this is what we're going to start with. If we need more, we know we can ask for more. If it's too big, we can negotiate. But for right now, everyone's on board. So
Awesome.
So it's like a pilot, Jack, and then eventually, okay, excellent.
So that we
That's a good question,
anticipate,
Angelina.
if it's needed, this will be another way that we can utilize the,
You
the
should name
affordable
it the
piece.
Gallagher Rental
Yeah, it should,
Assistance
Yeah.
it
Program.
I
should.
can't to do that.
I really
Gallagher
like that.
Rental
Do it.
Assistance
I really
Program,
like that.
yeah. Very good, very good. Thank you, Jack. Any other questions for the Community Preservation Committee? Gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. All right, so that concludes the review of the article. So what I would like to do with the Finance Committee's okay, I'd like to go back and consider taking positions on the articles that we reviewed tonight if the Finance Committee is ready. Are we?
Yep. Is
Alright.
that still part of the public hearing?
Yes, we did it that way last night.
I know we did, but I wasn't sure if it was.
Well, you tell me.
Second. I wasn't sure if it.
So where are we starting?
Article one. Article one is $77,411 for the housing reserve to the Affordable Housing Trust.
Move the finance committee support passage of Article One.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. The next article is Article, 25. Which,
20?
No,
25?
20.
20.
yeah,
The CPC ones are before the planning department.
Oh, you know something? You're, right. I was looking at the planning. You're right.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Article 20 is the housing, putting the money in the various buckets. It's 73,700 and 358,884 in the unallocated
Yep.
reserve. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Is there a second? All right, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. Article 21 is the debt service payment for the Pell Farm
move
property.
the finance committee support the passage of Article 21 as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Article 22, debt service for the Grafton Townhouse.
Move the finance committee support the passage of Article 22 as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Article 23 is $227,000 for the park, the Norcross Park Inclusive Playground.
Move the finance committee support the passage of Article 23 as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Article 24, the Gallagher Rental Assistant Program.
Move we support the passage of Article 24 as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Article 25 is the housekeeping on the use and intensity regulations of the zoning bylaw.
Move the finance committee support.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
just, usually finance committee doesn't take a position
Until the
on any
planning
of
board holds
Right.
public
until
hearing.
they give their report, which
I-
we could do before town meeting.
If you want to do it that way, but I'd like to have it printed in the warrant if we can do that. And we're not going to meet again. I know it's
Hey,
nice to hear
doing
from the
this all
planning board, but I'm
early
going to
speed everything
assume,
up.
I know, but I'm going to assume that since the planning board brought this forward, I'm going to assume they're going to be in favor of the article, right?
Well,
Well, the only thing that you're gonna have questions on is 29.
That's true on the 5 acres versus.
right.
Sue, what would you like us to do? I'll defer
Well,
to you.
I always did,
Yeah, so,
we only did it because we needed the report
right.
to see what they said, and
So
they're-
if we support passage of the article as written and publish some sort of, have to publish a blurb before before the planning board meets and does its final report, if they change their mind or change something, then we can schedule another meeting.
we can do it before town meeting
Yeah,
as
you
well.
could
Well, you could do it before a town meeting, or if you wanna do something to
Cause we meet a half hour ahead of time. We can
Yeah.
do that.
You wanna take care of the, you wanna take care of Articles,
Well, you,
25,
but we
6,
wanna
7, 8,
print
9?
something too.
Yeah.
When do you have to print it? When is, the meeting is when?
Yeah.
The 24th?
He says it's next
Yes.
Fridays when they post it and do it, right?
Post a warrant.
When's the
Yeah, but
planning board meeting?
don't print the recommendations in the post.
Right.
don't,
So
okay.
if
So if
Yep.
we have a Zoom meeting, whatever,
Planning board meetings,
When are you gonna vote on these?
probably the 24th.
right, so
The
if we
yeah,
have
so
a-
the
if
24th, so we
Zoom
could have a meeting
the following week.
if they change their mind about any of this stuff. We could
I
then,
think what they're saying is we wouldn't take a position until after the planning board, we'd have a
well, we could
special
do
meeting for
either one.
that.
We could do
Is that
it
what
as
you're
a-
saying,
I
Heather?
could do either one.
I understand the issue with Article 29, but these, to me, the first 3 articles here are housekeeping articles,
I
right?
agree, yeah.
So I
I
don't
don't
think,
know if
With
Hold
that.
off on
They'll
29
probably
too,
do
right?
that, it's just that, no, we can go ahead with
All right.
that.
And if
So we
they
need to
if they
have a
change it, we can reconsider.
Yeah.
We need to have our recommendations available on the first.
Yeah, so I would just as soon do it tonight, so we don't have to have another meeting, if we're all in favor.
I'd say, yeah, if there are any substantive changes expected from that, because they're not actually gonna be made before the warrant is signed, cause that's Tuesday.
Yep.
So I think we can meet and adjust our recommendations at that
Okay.
point.
Yeah, well,
All right,
Yeah.
let's do that. So I'd entertain a motion to support Article 25 as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any
Well,
further, oh, go ahead.
I'd like to see if in the description of that one, we can highlight the things that are changed, 'cause it's mostly just adding some clarification words here and there.
Yeah,
So,
that's what they said they're gonna do.
I really don't like it when when it just says, remove this article and replace it, and there's no reference of what it was before, so.
yeah,
I know.
I'm
you-
I'm fine with the
Yeah.
warrant, the article as written, I'd just like to have some
Yep, we got it.
description with what's changed.
She's new at this, so I think she'll get it.
She'll get it.
Yeah.
She was very, very,
Well,
she was
also, like,
nervous as
honestly,
hell tonight.
But I don't think
In the
that's
past,
Fiona's
we
fault.
didn't
We
wanna print
changed.
this twice.
This
You
was
know, like,
Right,
us
right.
writing it.
Is it us?
It was me writing it.
Right under that bus, William.
yeah, I could see.
No,
the
but
fire
it-
Oh,
truck
turn
right over
around.
his
How
head.
big are the tire tracks?
That wasn't, Fiona gave us a different package, and we altered it. So we will get back with Fiona and, do what
Okay.
she wanted us to do in the first place.
She did a very nice job presenting tonight.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Any
Good
further
looking, but-
discussion on Article 25? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Article 26, I'd entertain a motion to support as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Article 27, I'd entertain a motion to support Article 27 as
So
presented.
moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Article 28 is another clarification on the schedules for shared parking and off-street parking.
Move we support the passage of Article 28 is written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. So you want to hold off on Article 29 because we know that may change? And why don't we,
Why don't we
Probably
vote
will.
on it now, and then if it doesn't change, then we're set, and if
Right.
it does,
Okay.
then we can.
Yeah,
Approve-
that
approve
way,
as written,
that way you can put
and if
all
it
the,
changes-
all the blurbs together, and if
Okay.
it changes.
I'm
And,
good with
and
that.
then, and the likelihood is that even if it changes, and you get to the half hour before town meeting,
It
you're
could change
going,
again.
you're also probably going to vote to approve it as written.
Yeah,
Which is the
that's
same language you've already adopted, so we don't have to change the warrant, you just need to revote it.
revote it? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to approve Article 29 as presented.
Second.
Written.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Article 31, the act relative to the charter and the town clerk and the town of Grafton. Greg, you asked to hold off until you had a chance to read it.
Yep.
Do you have any questions or concerns?
I am good. There was one error that I showed to William. It's hereby amended by striking out section 3-1. It should be section 3-1A.
Yep.
Because we want to keep the rest of section 3-1A, section 3-1. The only thing I'm not sure about is striking all of section 3.5. Are there things in 3.5B that are not covered by the general section 1, specifically relating to town clerk being in charge of elections and all of that kind of stuff?
Why don't we get the charter up? How quickly can you get the charter up on the screen?
I'm already looking at it, so this fast.
I love it.
Okay, George.
Oh man, I was hoping it wasn't gonna work because you said this fast.
If you know how to work a computer.
I know it did
so.
not go well for me last
Yeah,
night.
3-5B is the,
So why don't we just say strike 3-5B?
no, it's 3-5A has to go away.
Yeah.
3-5B is the one I'm not sure about.
Well, the town clerk's position, you're outlining an elected, position there, right? So now it becomes appointed, so the bylaw would govern the duties of the town clerk, or state law would govern the duties of the town
Right,
clerk.
and our section 1 of that says the town clerk shall have all the powers, perform the duties, and be subject to the liabilities and penalties conferred and imposed by law on town clerks.
Yeah, so I don't think there's a
So-
problem striking that.
I was not sure if that covered things such as conduct of elections,
Absolutely
and
does.
in the absence of town moderator, deputy town moderator to preside pending the election of a temporary town moderator.
All
So-
provided by statute. So
Okay,
we're covered.
then I'm fine with all of 3-5 going away.
Right?
Fantastic.
Is there anybody willing to make a motion to support Article 31 as presented, as written?
I move we support Article 31 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just like to
Go
say
ahead.
I'm staying with what I voted the first time on this article. I'm against it only because it's another vote that will be taken away from me as a citizen. So there's so many states now taking people's rights away, and this is just an example of one. So I'm opposed to it for that reason.
Understood, 100% understood. Any further discussion?
I'm generally in favor of it for two reasons. One, it is odd that the person in charge of elections is elected, and then we have to bring in outside people to support it. Elections when the town clerk is on the ballot, and it is the only full-time position in the town that is elected.
And,
not
and,
appointed.
and if I may add to that, the one issue that I've had from the start is accountability. There is no accountability. There's no recourse that the town administrator, the select board, anybody has if the town clerk comes to work, if the town clerk doesn't come to work, if the town clerk loses 200 ballots, if the town clerk, doesn't show up for 3 months during an election cycle. There's no accountability.
Well, that's the nature of an elected position.
Exactly, so I think making this position, it is a department head, and it is a substantially paid department head position. I think there should be accountability on that position. So I understand your point, Sue, 100%. But I think this is something that we need to do. So, is there any further discussion?
No, other than to say I feel the same way Sue does about it, but I also feel
It's a little
that
both.
it's, is that it's kind of time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, all those in favor, why don't we do a roll call on this one so that Amber has the vote. So all those in favor by roll call, Heather.
Aye.
Greg.
Aye.
Mark, aye. Angelina.
Aye.
Victoria.
Aye.
Skip.
Aye.
Sue.
Nay.
Nick.
Aye.
Okay, so that is 7-1 is the vote. Thank you all for that. And then the final article that we need to take a position on is Article number 35, which is the citizens petition on the Affordable Housing Trust. Victoria, I thought your questions and the way you went about, questioning this was excellent. I think you added a lot of, you made me think a lot about this one here with your line of questioning. I think this isn't ready for prime time.
I agree.
In my
Yeah.
opinion.
I think they both need to, I think it needs to be back to back.
It should be, and I know her point was there are 200 communities that don't have an affordable housing trust, but Grafton has one now.
Right.
That's right.
So if we're gonna make the change, I think we need to, if we're gonna do it, I think it should be done in concert, and that way you can debate the merits of both at the same time.
Well, there were a lot of accusations thrown out too about the Affordable Housing Trust not having done anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, I'm not ready to dissolve a trust based on that discussion.
They did do
whatsoever.
rentals and some other stuff, so.
Yeah,
they've
well, so I
absolutely
mean, without hearing from them about what they've done,
Right.
like, I'm not gonna dissolve a trust because of some.
Well, CPC
One
money that are in
conversation.
other towns gave a lot more money to.
Right.
Than our CPC does for affordable housing, so that makes a big difference, cause some people have done in some towns, a lot of affordable housing, and
Yeah.
they give pittance, I mean, they give what they have to give, but they don't give any more than that, so.
And also, if I may, it did also seem that sort of that line of questioning kind of did round around the concept of feeling as though the trust was not amenable to conversations or outside ideas or what have you, and I don't think that we also have any proof that shows that that's the truth, right? They weren't here to defend themselves. We didn't have any actual line items of things that passed or didn't pass or what meetings had been attended or whatnot. So it felt like a lot of hearsay to dissolve something that I think is an important part of.
And it's also my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what the trust is written on, that the money has to go to the Board of Selectmen, who then take that money and put it into a separate account. It can't go into the stabilization account.
There were two issues with that.
Logistically.
Two
Yes.
community preservation funds, very tightly guarded and regulated by town meeting, and then you pointed out, as you're saying, that 2/3 vote
Yeah.
for the dissolving of the trust and where the money has to go, which is Sue's saying right now. So they have every right to bring this forward. I
They
just
do.
don't
Of
think
course.
it's ready. I just don't think it's
Yeah,
ready
I
for
don't
prime time.
necessarily disagree with her, but I want more,
Yeah.
I want more proof.
And the
Backup. I want
proponent
more
said
proof.
that this wasn't ready, but they wanted to bring it now because if they waited till the fall, then it would suddenly be a 2/3 instead of a majority
Still
vote,
gonna
which
be
is
2/3.
incorrect.
It's gonna be
It's still gonna be
2/3.
2/3 either
Still
way.
Yeah.
So postponing it till the fall town meeting when any proposal is more fleshed out and has an actual replacement won't change what is required.
And I
Bring
think-
that forward.
And I think, and even she said she didn't have enough time to put together a good proposal. She was doing this in response to make sure, it was sort of like a placeholder.
Yeah.
So, there's, I think that the problem with this is it's not ready and we don't know where those funds are gonna go.
Right.
And I want all those answers before I vote to support
So-
something.
Agreed.
And fall town meeting is gonna have significant bylaw changes anyway.
So all done at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I did meet with Nancy prior to this, and I'm the one that came up with municipal stabilization, and I wanna explain why.
Oh, okay.
So, easy, Sue. I don't give any advice on citizens petitions as a general rule. My only concern in knowing that this was coming down the pike was that there was no mechanism for the money to go somewhere that we knew the end point would be.
Gotcha.
And so it was my suggestion to do municipal stabilization. And this is why, even though the trust document says it has to go into an account controlled by the select board, there's nothing in that trust that says what account that is. There's no fund established. And so in our preliminary conversations, municipal stabilization is the safest route because it does require a 2/3 vote. So it doesn't go out willy-nilly and then become at the discretion of either a newly formed group or the select board, which none of them are here. I genuinely dislike the idea of the select board controlling money that town meeting doesn't appropriate.
That's what you're
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have had conversations with DLS, and it's a little bit of a unique situation. So we're not even sure if we're going to get legal advice on the municipal stabilization part of it, or they might just say, let it with the chips fall where they may, and let the AG sort it out with DLS after. So.
All right, that makes sense. I understand. Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, I just don't.
appreciate that.
I didn't.
That's a good clarification.
No, it's an excellent clarification. I appreciate that.
I mean,
I agree with
I think it is good that, I mean, I know it's not ready, but I think it actually is kind of a good tactic on her part to bring it up. It's sort of keep making it, known to whoever does show up that her and 9 other people, maybe there's more, I don't know, are considering doing this. So it's almost like a preemptive to what is gonna come.
And it gives the town meeting a chance to debate it, and it gives everybody a chance to understand what the issues are. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
mean, I don't think a lot of people understand.
No, they don't, and I would imagine the Affordable Housing Trust will have a presentation for
Good.
town meeting to discuss what they've done, and so it gets
Yeah,
everything out.
and
So
think that'll help us.
I appreciate that,
You know,
and
all of us.
the great thing about town meeting and the citizens petition process, it gives people the opportunity to bring issues forward.
It does.
That's what, and
100%.
it's the purest form of democracy, and I think
It's
it's
phenomenal.
great.
It's phenomenal.
And I-
Ultimately, it's a
it's
great
good.
thing.
And they want to form this other group, but
I wanna see it.
I would like to know what the mission is, how the
Exactly.
money's gonna be
Absolutely.
You need a
handled,
charter.
what it's gonna be all, there's a lot to it.
Yep.
And they they seem to think they're gonna accomplish a lot faster things than the trust did, but, you know, it takes 2 to 3 years to get something done. So until they have it formally formed, I'm not voting to give up the trust.
And I'd like to know, to see that and see, is this something that the trust can do?
Well, that was my question, is why aren't some of
Right.
these ideas being utilized by the trust if they're such great ideas for
Yeah.
housing?
Yeah.
Well, the thing with, I think what she was talking
Right.
about more so
Which they're also
is
gonna
that
come
it
up
would be
again,
used
of
for
course,
people to
so.
keep them in town by giving them assistance. It doesn't necessarily mean they meet the affordable housing, criteria, right?
threshold.
So I don't know if the Affordable Housing Trust, to follow up with what you're asking, I don't think the Affordable Housing Trust would have the ability to do that. It depends on the person's income, because, you know, it's affordable you know what I mean? So it'd be interesting. I wanna hear
Well, I
more.
would think
I
their
do,
things would
because
have
I
to
do agree with
also-
her. Their idea of affordable, unfortunately, in this day and age, is not really that affordable.
It's not. I agree with you 100% on that, Heather.
not,
The levels are high
It's crazy.
on what the median income is and the 80th percent and all that stuff. So it's gonna be an interesting
Yeah.
debate.
Yeah.
I just don't think that this article is ready, and I can't support it as
Yeah,
ready.
it's not close to prime time.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
concept is out there, but you got a lot more flushing to do.
Yep.
Agreed.
And I
Before
think
you
they,
get it
it
into a-
sounds like they're motivated to put it together,
Yeah.
without question, right?
Well, see what happens.
We'll see what happens, eh?
All right, well, then I would entertain a motion to support Article,
No,
hold on.
Not support.
okay, well, that, I was gonna say,
Oppose.
I had to say something.
I
So-
move that we oppose Article 35 as written.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Another extremely successful, public hearing of the Finance Committee. I always like to take the time to thank Mary, William, and Evan for,
William, are you gonna write that blurb?
he's gonna write all of them.
Okay, so that one, just say that we don't think there's enough information.
Yeah.
I wanna,
Yeah, start.
Agreed.
right? I don't.
Yeah.
don't wanna
I agree with you,
slam
Heather.
I just wanna say, okay.
We just don't think it's ready for prime time,
Correct.
but say, next
Yeah,
one.
and yeah, so we'll put the recommendation is to not support, and then you usually have your explanation of why you're not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's because we don't think it's ready to be adopted by
Prime
time.
time.
There's not enough information.
I got
presented.
prime time.
Definitely gotta
That's
work
all I
prime
got.
time in there.
Yeah,
Prime time.
He wants prime time in there.
Not ready for prime time.
not ready for
Got
prime,
it.
no, we're not gonna say that. But back to what I was saying, Evan, William, Mary, thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's a
great.
pleasure working with the three of you. You keep us so prepared. You're a wise guy, but you're okay. I like you anyway.
My mother
Who you
does say I'm
talking
wise.
William,
I wasn't sure if he was talking to
Can I
William
point
or
out
if he was
one
talking-
change that we have made since you met yesterday?
sure, of course.
It's not a big change. I looking at Sue.
He looks at me funny as he's,
Yep.
What did you
I
do
will-
now,
No,
Evan?
I think we made it much better. So, and you don't have it because we worked on this.
He's looking for it.
Yeah, it's not there yet.
Not,
Greg.
not in the one that was just printed?
No.
Okay.
No, we when you go to Appendix A and read the compressed budget, both times we've done this, there's been hangups because we have BVT as its own article and we have capital items as their own article. And then there's always the conversation about why doesn't this compressed budget match the other budget? And it's really confusing. And if it's confusing for you folks that have been through this whole process, it's gonna be very confusing for people on town meeting floor. And I think we had a couple questions on it last year.
We did.
So what we've done now is in that compressed budget, we've removed capital altogether. Capital's in its own article, which you've already voted to support. DVT is in its own article that you've already voted to support. Everything else is in that compressed.
So that
budget.
compressed budget will match?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. I
because
just,
we always did capital in its own article.
I know, you said that to me before.
I have. I'm so glad that
I-
you listened.
I
Thank you
resisted and
very
I
much.
really.
It only took 25 years, Sue.
Oh, well,
I
he
did.
is a bit
William
irritable.
and I, my conversation this morning, I said, Will, I think we should change it. And he said, Sue's gonna be gone by next year. Why do we have to do anything Sue wants? And I said, well, William,
Tire
that's not
tread
appropriate.
growing.
That is
Did you do any more research on what my point was last night?
Yes, so according to our
Plug
council,
me, please.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
I am correct.
Okay, well, your counsel's wrong.
That's fine.
I just want to point that out to you.
At
Need to
any
do
rate,
more research.
at any rate, what we have decided, we're gonna leave 33 there anyways, because you've already voted to pass over it.
Yes,
Yep.
we have.
So we're just going to write, again, this petition has been withdrawn by the petitioner,
Do you have like a
and you've
withdrawn
motioned
stamp
to
that you-
pass over, and it's probably a moot point.
Okay.
I'm gonna put in there that I was correct, though.
And I'm gonna bring
I
the
know,
opinion.
I know. You
So
get
what,
right, you're right.
what did you find out? That,
I posed the question, if the petitioner has requested to withdraw, do they have to get the signature of every single person that signed that? And the answer was no.
Okay.
And then I said, do we have to leave it on there and pass over? And the answer to that was also no.
Then we have to renumber or just
Yeah.
skip.
I'm
the
telling you,
number
I
and
think your
everybody's-
counsel is 100% wrong. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
I called your counsel too. No,
you'll get the bill in the morning for
you know,
his.
so
from his call
I
to your
spent
counsel.
actually a fair amount of time last night reading different towns' approaches, and there are towns that say you need to have all of the signatures, and there are others that don't have that written into their procedure. So I don't know if it's got a local flair to it, or if just half the towns are wrong, i.e., your way.
Oh, who's gonna get the last dig in on this?
I'm gonna find a law and I'm gonna get the last.
I know I'm asking for it. But we just decided after
Yeah, it makes
talking it
sense.
through, if we do the just pass over route, it doesn't matter which one of us is correct. It's moot, anyways.
We're doing both ways.
Yep,
I
exactly.
like that.
Yep.
All right.
I'll look into it.
Thank you, Sue. All right.
Don't rush, Sue.
Being no further business before the finance.
Oh,
I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Thank you.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. I declare us adjourned. Thank you.
So
Our
what's
next
on the-
meeting.